So apparently people really like beta 1.7.3, and apparently for good reason. Reasons that I couldn't tell you because before this I had never played it for myself, and seeing all the hype, of course, being someone who likes version 1.0, I want to see what all the hype's about. So, because of that, I spent 100 days in version beta 1.7.3, and this is what happened. Alright, day 1, beta 1.7.3. Suffice to say, I have never played this version before. And I've only heard good things about it, but, I don't really know what to expect. I see I have no hunger bar, and I can't sprint, so, I already thought this is it's gonna be something. And it has also come to my attention that I cannot crit hit enemies. Okay, interesting. And since I can't sprint, boats are actually not a horrible method of transportation. They go a lot faster than walking, I'll tell you that, so I will definitely be sailing a lot of the way. And we did find some pumpkins while we were looking for a place to set up our base, and not that pumpkins are super great or anything, but I will take them because it's, something I can actually build with. They look pretty cool, so. Still looking for a place to live, and I did accidentally find a zombie spawner underneath the ground. I thought this would have been like a massive cave with like a ton of zombies, but no, it's just a spawner, so I will definitely take that. And normally dungeon loot, whatever, take it or leave it, but it's day 2. I have iron already, and a saddle, and food to eat, which is pretty good, so I will definitely take this. And I've also come to find out that torches do not light up that much area around you. They are significantly nerfed in this version, which is kind of crazy, but I kind of don't mind it. The lighting is very moody, if that makes any sense. I do also really enjoy the terrain generation that you see in beta, because there's a lot of extreme hills and a lot of very big mountains, and there's times when there's no mountains and it's just like a straight up flat plains biome, and that's awesome. So there's a lot of different types of generation. It's very nice. Trying to go to sleep at the end of day 2, and I totally forgot that mobs will jump scare you if you don't have enough light around your bed. So, yeah, I'll keep that in mind going forward. Oops. Starting off day 3 by making some food, because I don't really prefer to walk around with half of my health missing. That's like one bad fall and I'm dead, and we're already like hundreds of blocks out from walking, so I'd prefer not to die at this point. Also, health does not regenerate naturally. That is good to know. I kind of forgot that, so I'll just be missing half a heart for a little bit. Wait a minute, guys. Wait a minute. Code green. I think we finally found the spot. But we're setting a base here. I do plan on having some leaves around my house just to give it a nice little, hedge border. That'd be pretty cool, so. And just doing a little bit of terraforming, because even though this land is already pretty flat as is, I would like to have, more than enough space to build my house and, probably other things after that, so. Don't really know all the intricacies of how I want my house to be made. I kind of just know that I want it to be made out of wood, stone, and I want it to be kind of small, if anything. I don't really want a big house. I'll save the big builds for later. And if I want it to be made out of wood and stone, I kind of need to go mining first, so that's exactly what we're doing now. And I'm definitely not going down there. I'm good. I have no armor. That zombie that jump scared me in the middle of the night earlier on day 2, yeah, no, that guy took like half my health. I'm not going down there. But yeah, in terms of space, you can see I'm not really working with a whole lot here. I mean, we have enough to like comfortably move around inside of our own house, but other than that, there's not a whole lot of space for decoration, I guess you could say. Alright, starting off day 5 going mining again. I don't have a whole lot of stone or a whole lot of iron or really a whole lot of anything, so we kind of need to hop on that. And minor spoiler alert, but I didn't really find anything either. Just a whole lot of cobblestone, not a whole lot of caves, which is kind of unfortunate, but sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. Minor detail, but I did explicitly go out of my way to make a border around the painting, or where it was going to be, and it's also centered with the room, which is really nice. Also, another thing, the floor is straight up made out of carpet. Well, not the whole floor, some of it, but carpets don't exist in this version, so kind of had to improvise, and I wanted there to be something on my floor, not just straight up planks, so. To be quite honest, I kind of struggled for a little bit trying to figure out what I should have on the top, because on some walls the wood looks great, but then it doesn't match with the other walls just because of how I built it, so the designs are kind of not coherent, and I kind of backed myself into a corner here, so I guess we're just going to have to work with what we got. That being said, that is one of the great things about single-player Minecraft, and old Minecraft especially. I don't have to worry about what anyone else thinks. I'm just building for myself. I'm building for the love of the game. I'm not building to impress others. Well, I mean, I can impress you guys, but, I can't really pretend to be something I'm not, which is a good builder, so. It finally clicked with me why my roofs never look quite the way I want them to, and it's because I just don't build them right. I mean, I straight up just put the roofs one block above where they need to start. So, yeah, you know what? Oops. We're a little bit too far in, so I'm not going to fix it, but yeah. And there we go. Our house is now done. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I didn't want anything big or flashy. It's pretty small, doesn't take up a whole lot of space, so yeah, pretty satisfied with this. And just doing a little bit more terraforming because I do plan on building other things and the excess land around the house kind of takes up a lot of space, so I would like to get that out of here. And speaking of building other things, I would like to start on a farm because even though we don't have hunger, I would still like to have food just for the vibe, so also we need it to regenerate our health, so that's kind of a must-have, and I can't really have that if there's, trees in the way. For the farm, I don't think this farm is going to be super massive or anything. It's going to be like 3 lanes of crops, but it's not going to be anything like super large scale. And the work I did the night before is invalidated because for some reason I mined out the areas where I would specifically need the dirt to be at and not where the pathing was going to be. So I have to fill those in and mine out more blocks anyway. Luckily that didn't take too long for us and we can just go ahead and get started on the path because can't really walk on crops, kind of got to walk around them, so. We do, however, need gravel because we've spent this entire time building our house and setting up for the farm, and we've been getting a lot of wood and a lot of stone, but we haven't actually gotten any gravel yet, so that might be a good idea to have some for the path. And just gonna add that the dungeon we found on day 2 is so clutch because we don't have to spend any time looking for mossy cobblestone. In terms of functionality, everything about the farm is done. We have the paths, the water, we're gonna till the dirt, so the farm is pretty much done, so pretty simple, pretty easy build, and looks nice. And I totally forgot to do it the first time, so I have to go back and add it now, but I added the shrubbery around my house. Is what I would say if leaves didn't disappear when you place them, so I'm gonna put a log on the bottom of this leaf and see if that works, and if it doesn't, I guess we just won't have anything around our house. In the meantime, even though the farm is pretty much done, we don't have to add anything to it, I would like to have, some fences around it just to complete the look, and we almost died and got jump scared by a creeper, but fortunately we didn't, so yeah. So it has come to my attention that fences don't attach to the blocks that are right next to them, which is really unfortunate because that kills a lot of the building potential that they have. So I don't think I'm going to have the logs on the ends, but we will keep the fence. And seeing as the one leaf that we put the log under didn't disappear, I'm going to go ahead and put all of that around my house so that I can at least have the leaf border. Now, it doesn't look as good with the logs, but those are hardly noticeable, so it really does not matter to me. Not a super crazy addition, but it definitely adds a little homey, kind of cozy sort of vibe to the house, so I'm all for it. Finishing up the fence on the farm, and we are definitely doing away with the logs because, I'm not having the fences float right next to the logs. That looks bad. I'm sorry. It just does. Putting in some torches for the light, for the crops, and we are officially done with the farm for the second time. We were already done before, but now we are really done with it. We don't have to add anything else. It's fine as is. Working on the house again since it's technically already done, but I would like to have a basement for my storage. I don't want to build a shed. I feel like I always build a shed, so I'm going to go ahead, put a basement in, and also the house is pretty small as is, so this is a nice addition to give it some more, space. And while we're talking about the basement, I would like the basement to have a different aesthetic from the first floor in the house, so it's going to have a more, storage-esque type of basement vibe, whatever that entails, different walls, different roof, different flooring, so trying to make the roof for the basement, and apparently you can't put slabs on top of each other when there's a block above them, which is kind of weird because I can see where I should be able to put the slab, but I can't put it there, which kind of sucks, but it's not the worst thing ever. Had to break some of my floor to actually get the slabs to fit on there, but we got it, and now we are officially done with the basement. Didn't take super long to build, only took like a day, but we got the flooring, walls, ceiling, everything that we wanted to. In terms of organization, there's still much to be desired. I don't really want to make any signs to label the chests, or I can't make item frames because those don't exist. So I don't really think I need to label these chests. I'll just kind of put similar items in them and organize it manually over time. It's not that big of a deal to me. I have unfortunately fallen for the classic blunder of not building the room with the right dimensions, so I have to have 2 small chests in the middle while there are double chests on each side, which isn't that big of a deal to me. I don't mind that. In fact, I kind of like using small chests. Adds a little bit of personality, but, that might just be me. And now that we have a ton of food with us, we've got our house set up, our farm set up, I think it's finally time that we go actually explore the mines and see if we can get any iron. That might be a good idea, Not super deep into mining yet, but I can already tell you that this version is really stingy with its resources. I feel like iron is usually plentiful, and diamonds are not far behind, and gold is kind of like that middle ground, but I've found not a whole lot of iron in a cave so far, and it's kind of crazy, but I'm all for it. I love slow progression. And zombies drop feathers. You know, you figured I would have saw that with the zombie spawner I found on day 2, but I guess not, because I didn't really have to kill any of them. So, yeah, that's interesting. After a whole day of mining, though, we've walked out with a crisp stack of coal and 24 iron to our name, which is way below what we're used to, but you know what? I'm fine with that. And now that we have a lot more stone at our disposal, I'm going to go ahead and start terraforming out the area where I want my blacksmith building to be, because that's pretty much a staple. I mean, you always need somewhere to smelt, gotta have a place to put your lava at. I mean, like, come on now. It's basically a necessity. As for the actual shape of the build, I was kind of thinking something more elongated, kind of like a villager blacksmith, where it's got like the little stone portion that holds the lava. So something like that, I thought that'd be a good idea. I'm also doing this thing where I scope out my build first, as opposed to, you know, just getting in there and building it real fast. You know, it just makes it a little easier to actually flesh out the ideas that I have, instead of, you know, having to put a bunch of scraps together. Alright, for the most part, we have the general outline of the building done. I mean, things are bound to change, no duh, but we don't really have any stone left, so I'm going to go ahead and make a full set of iron gear, and we can actually go a little bit deeper into the mines and take a little bit more risk, seeing as we're not going to get one-tapped by everything. Alright, back in the mines, and as a surprise to nobody, we have not found anything interesting yet. I will say, though, that these really big patches of mushrooms are not common, but the fact that they generate it all is crazy, because you don't see that in modern Minecraft, or even 1.0, I think, which is insane, because these will generate on the overworld, in caves, like literally wherever they can grow, they will, you know, grow. You may be wondering why I'm back on the surface, and it's because in the 2 whole days I was mining, I found nothing interesting, and that is unfortunate. I mean, interesting enough. Yeah, I got a lot of stone, which is really useful for the build, but, you know, I mean, that's kind of like a whole water found in the ocean ordeal. Started filling in the floor for the build, and I also went ahead and made another furnace, because I don't really like having one furnace. It's kind of slow and really inefficient, so I need another one with all the cobblestone I'm going to be smelting. And here comes one of the issues with beta. Even though I love this so far, this is great, there's not a whole lot of blocks to work with, which is really unfortunate. Like, even having stone bricks would be great, but those aren't even in the game. Those don't exist. So the block pallets are really, really simple, and I like simple building, but at some point this just gets kind of repetitive, which is fine by me. Again, I don't care. But you know, when I have to build a giant build with like the same 3 blocks, you know, it's kind of hard to deviate from the norm. And while we're on the topic of block pallets, I am trying to put a little bit of wood into the build, just because it, you know, adds some extra color, adds a nice little curveball into the mix. Is it really a blacksmith building if I'm not flexing the ores that we've gotten? Also, iron blocks do look different in this version, so I'm going to be using those as well. And to finish the inside of the build up, we've put a log border around our furnaces just to kind of highlight them as the center of attention for the build, and also on the floor just so it's not a plain stone floor, because that kind of looks just a little bit boring. Nothing wrong with it, but I do like to decorate my floors, so. And addressing how I did want the shape of the build to be a little bit elongated before, I'm going to have an outside portion. Not that it's going to be like super mega important, it's not going to be like this huge crucial part of the build, but it is just going to be a nice little added bonus. Little bit of seasoning, if you will, to the build, just so it adds a little bit of depth. And thankfully for this build, I don't have to build a quote-unquote normal roof. I can just make it a flat top. So I'm going to have the flat top be on its own on the main part of the build, and then for the side part that I've made on, you know, the side, I'm going to have a smaller mini roof attaching to the side of the build. But unfortunately, all of that requires me to have a lot of stone and smelt a lot of stone, so you know what that means. Hey, it took us like 22 days, but we finally got some diamonds to our name, so considering in the last 100 days that I've done, we've gotten diamonds almost immediately within the first 10 days, I am totally fine with how long it took us to get diamonds this time, because I'm kind of a fan of slow progression. It actually puts worth on what I'm getting. Back on the surface, day 23, and we are now working on the side part of the furnace building. I do like how this build turned out. Even though it's not the flashiest or craziest build, it does, for one, actually achieve its purpose of giving me a place to put my furnaces, and 2, it solves the depth issue I usually have, where I kind of just build a bunch of cubes, but the little side part on the side, you know, actually connects to the main part pretty well. I feel like we don't have a ton of resources, I say as we literally just found diamonds, and I have a full set of iron gear, but I don't feel like we have as many resources as I would like, so I'm gonna head back to the mines and we'll see what I find. Yo, this new cave I found is treating us well. Oh my goodness, because we already got diamonds? I mean, don't mind if I do. Pretty stacked vein too. I mean, 4 diamonds is 4 diamonds. Like, I will take it. Oh my goodness. the decision to go mining is not disappointing because this cave just has everything that we need. It's got coal, iron, diamonds, lapis, like I mean, hey, it's a jack of all trades. Yo, if you told me I couldn't mine redstone with an iron pickaxe, I mean, you could have fooled me, because this is taking insanely long to break. Alright, that was a super stacked cave, but we are back on the surface now. I mean, this is a pretty good haul. I know I already showed it before, but we got like over a stack of iron, 7 diamonds, and only 2 gold somehow. Don't know how that happened, but we have more diamonds than we do gold. And the building that we just spent like the last 10 days or so on is getting put to good use because we have a lot of iron that we need to smelt. And I figured since we have more than 3 diamonds now, it might be a good idea to actually make a diamond pickaxe so that I can get obsidian when we need that. Small weird thing, but you can't plant sugarcane on sand. I figured since it was so popular, that was a thing that's just always has been, but, you know, that's cool, I guess. Going around while we're not currently working on any projects at the moment, trying to replant some of the trees around the base, because I do like having the very forested, wooded feeling for our base. I think that's a good aesthetic. In an attempt to make the whole world feel a bit more lived in than it actually is, I'm making a staircase down to the local beach on day 26. Not that a staircase is a super crazy build or anything, I mean none of the builds I ever do are super crazy, but it does add some world building to the world. It makes it feel lived in, it adds some personality, so I mean, that's why I do what I do. Not that it took too long to make either, I mean it took about a day to make, so again, not horrible, but it's literally just a staircase, so what you see is what you get. And I figured that if I have a whole staircase leading down to the beach, I should at least have something to go to on the beach, so I built a dock while I was at it. And as much as I would love to put fence railings on the dock, I can't do that because as we found out with the farm, fences don't attach to the blocks next to them, which is really unfortunate because that just looks bad, so I can't do that. I'll just have the support beams sticking up out of the dock. I did want to see how the stair railing would look, and unfortunately it makes the dock look a bit more blocky than I would like it to, so it kind of ruins the depth, but you know what, it was worth a shot. And of course, you know, we have to extend the support beams into the water just for attention to detail. And again, not super crazy builds or anything, but I am happy with them nonetheless. Sometimes it's just about the smaller things, not always about the huge builds. Day 29, just working on a path that connects my house to the farm. I figured with the way a path already existed around the farm, it made a lot of sense to have that path stretch over to my house and kind of connect the two. With the path that connects my house and the farm, I now thought it made a lot of sense to connect my blacksmith building as well, because now there's a whole interconnected feeling in my base. And with the paths now connecting everything in the base, you know, the house, the farm, the blacksmith building, I thought that having lampposts like the ones that you see in the villages would be a great idea because also, the lighting in this version is immaculate. I know torches aren't as good, they don't give as much light, but oh my goodness, it's beautiful. Like, even without shaders. And I did decide to spruce up the path with some flowers. I had like 2 roses and a lot of dandelions for some reason, so unfortunately there's not that many roses, but you know what, I'll fix that later. Still trying to replant some of the trees I've chopped down, and oh my goodness, you can see, kind of sort of see the lighting on the lamppost, and it looks immaculate. Oh my goodness, the lighting in this version is actually insane. Obligatory sugarcane harvest, and even though there's no enchanting, we're actually going to go ahead and make bookshelves anyway, because I would like to use them. They are a pretty decorative block, and I do want to make a library, kind of sort of still, even though it's not just for enchanting. That being said, I have no idea what I would do for the outside of a library. I feel like that'd be a pretty large building, and I just think that we could honestly get away with making this inside of a mountain. But my main idea for this library is that I want it to be multiple stories, the first floor and the second floor, and I would like it to be a pretty cozy, snug fit, if that makes any sense. So I want it to be not super big on the inside, but it's just kind of like a cozy aesthetic. And we're making a lot of really fast progress too, because we've already got the second floor mined out, and we've got the area where we're going to have the first floor as well, along with where the staircase is going to be, so this is shaping up pretty fast. Even though I don't have the entire block palette decided yet, I am going to go ahead and start mining out the walls and the floors, just so that whenever we do decide to get that, you know, in place, that we can actually just go ahead and do it. We don't have to do all the work beforehand, so. Speaking of block palette, I would like to use bricks, because I know they're in this version, there's clay, so we're going to go get some of those. And I don't know how long this is going to take, but unfortunately, we can't run, so this is just going to be a long trek. The great thing though is that clay is not super hard to find, but also it's very deceptive because it looks like you get a lot of clay, which, I mean, on paper you do, but for bricks it's a 1-to-1 conversion, so 4 clay, which is what you get from mining 1 block, is equal to 1 brick. So, yeah, not actually a lot in reality. On a more positive note though, this does give us the chance to just walk around and look at the world generation, explore a little bit, and not just stay in the same area the whole time. Went a little far out, so we're making our way back on day 35. Which thankfully didn't take us too long, and I just now realized that you can see mobs when you press F3, because it shows their name tag, question mark, through the floor, which is kinda cool. Yeah, getting the furnace room up and running was definitely a good idea because we have a lot of clay to smelt, not to mention we have a lot of blocks we need to smelt in general, cough cough, stone. Taking a second to look at all the lighting in the base because I've kinda sorta looked at it before, but I never really took a moment to admire it, and oh my goodness, this is great. Like, I know I keep glazing it, the lighting, yada yada, but like, come on now. Like, this is just awesome. But back to the meat and potatoes of what we're actually working on, we're back to the library and we're doing the interior decorating now. I would like to have a little fireplace underneath the stairs because I think that adds to the cozy sort of aesthetic I'm going for. And I've also decided on a log border on the bottom, and I'll probably end up making the walls out of cobblestone. Alright, there we go. The first floor, for the most part, is done. We've got the place where the fireplace is going to be mined out. We've got the bookshelves in place, although I still need to add one more to the top. And we've got the stairs on the side representing the couch, along with the actual staircase leading to the second floor. Extending the room a little bit so it protrudes out the mountain, adds a little bit of depth and makes it to where it's, not totally flat, so it actually looks like there's something there as opposed to it just being a mountain. And, with the first floor being done, we already have the block palette decided on, so the heavy lifting here is done. So because of that, we can go ahead and add the balcony and just get that outline ready. And you see, what had happened was I thought I had more clay than I actually did, but, when you get like 3 stacks of clay per vein, if you want to call it a vein, when you get 3 stacks of clay per vein, you kind of, think you have more than you actually do. While I was out looking for clay though, I may or may not have gotten just a little bit distracted by a cave that I found on the way and, may or may not have mined for the entire next day, but that's neither here nor there. Got some gold out of it though, and I will definitely take it because we have, as it stands now, more diamonds than we do gold, which is kind of outrageous, but I'm not mad, that's a good problem to have. And I will definitely take this redstone, even though it takes forever to mine, because I would like to dabble in it. I don't know that I will dabble in anything redstone related, but that's pretty cool, so better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Took an egregious amount of time because obsidian takes forever to mine, but I did gather up all the obsidian I needed for another portal while I was here, because for the fireplace we do need netherrack, and we kind of have to go to the nether for that, so if there's anything I like about beta 1.7.3, it is definitely the progression aspect, because although you don't technically need diamonds at all, I mean you need a diamond pickaxe at most, but there's always a reason to go get more resources just because of how they distribute the resources in this game. Like, there's less of them, so I feel like there's always an incentive to go look for more. Alright, making our way out of the mines on the start of day 39. And thankfully, it didn't take us too long to get back to the base either. Setting up a temporary nether portal for now, because I definitely did not intend on getting obsidian while I was mining. But now that we have it, I'm not going to stop myself from getting netherrack. And don't ask how I messed up this badly, I don't know either, I wish I could tell you. Fixing the nether portal out of the way though, we can now actually go to the nether, so that's exactly what we did at the start of day 40. Good to know that you can't break glowstone with your hands, I mean, not that that really matters all that much to me. It's faster if you break it with a pickaxe, and honestly, I'll take that upside. Yeah, the nether is somehow even more boring in name in this version of Minecraft, so we're out of here. With us actually having the main component we need for the fireplace, that being, the netherrack because it stays on fire, we can actually start working on furbishing the fireplace. I don't show it because it would get really repetitive, but if I'm building, there's a fat chance that I am having 4 stacks of stone sit in these furnaces at all times. And there we go, done with the fireplace. Put stone slabs on the inside to differentiate it from the outside of the fireplace, but you also can't put wood right next to fire because then, it catches on fire. It has come to my attention that fire spreads through slabs, which is really unfortunate because I do like how the wooden stairs look, but we'll just have to work with the hand that we're dealt. Kind of hard to make a brick floor when you have no bricks, so looking for more clay at the start of day 41. Actually huge that we found a cactus while we were out because we can plant this back at our base and we now have access to green dye, which is great. Look, I love bricks as much as the next guy, but maybe even a little bit more. But unfortunately, these are very time consuming to get. I mean, don't get me wrong, clay isn't hard to find or anything, it's actually pretty easy to find, especially in this version. I feel like it's everywhere, but it's the fact that I can't run while I go look for it, I have to strictly walk, and that kind of limits your movement by a lot. Only took us about a day though, and we are back at the base ready to get back to grinding on the library. Pretty happy with the decision to go with oak planks on the roof. I don't think bricks would have looked as good, maybe a little bit too repetitive, and the same issue with cobblestone because the walls are made out of it. Finally got around to fixing the staircase, and unfortunately, we're gonna have to settle for cobblestone because brick stairs don't exist and sandstone is not in the block palette, so I'm not using that. Putting in glowstone for the lighting, because as much as I love having torches spontaneously placed around just so I don't have mobs spawning in the library while building it, the glowstone actually fits with the aesthetic. And I made a pseudo railing system while I was at it because I don't really like having a sharp edge that just dips off like the 3-block gap that's above the stairs, so yeah, I'm good, I'm not walking off that. Thought it'd be pretty fitting to have a sort of carpet in the library because, you know, I mean, cozy aesthetic, carpets are cozy, I mean, it just kind of adds up. 1 plus 1 is 2. We're not gonna talk about how long it took though, because it yeah, I definitely sat here thinking about this for way too long. I've come to the realization that I don't really like how the carpet looks, so yeah, all that time I just spent thinking about how it should look, yeah, it doesn't matter, I'm gonna get rid of it. All of that being said, we are pretty much said and done with the second floor, which also means we're done with the whole library, because we know what we're gonna do for the walls, and we have the flooring done, we have the balcony done, so yeah, we're pretty set. Alright, Rude Awakening Day 46, I see. 3 creepers around my furnace building, okay. Adding support beams to the balcony because although it does work if it's floating, I do think that it looks a little better and adds more depth if I actually make the beams support the balcony itself. Not going too crazy with the front of the build, I mean, I just needed to have some depth and poke out of the side of the mountain so it doesn't look totally flat, but I don't think this looks bad either. And just a little cherry on top, I did add slabs to the top of the front of the library because I don't really like how the wood clashes with the cobblestone when it goes directly into it. I knew for sure I wanted to have carpets somewhere in the build, and it definitely didn't work on the second floor, so I think this is probably the place where I could get away with it. Starting off day 47 the right way, making a new set of iron gear, because as it stands now, my old set was in total shambles. And you know, if I'm going to go mining, it might be just a good idea to not have armor that's 1, not going to protect me, and 2, is about to give out at any given moment. Yeah, I see why cookies are actually good in this version and not in modern Minecraft. It's because they're balanced around restoring a very minimal amount of health, and these do exactly that, whereas opposed to modern Minecraft where they just restore like 1 hunger bar. I haven't shown it yet, but skeletons fire really fast in this version. I mean, the arrows have less speed and they're easy to dodge, but if you get like point blank with a skeleton, he will tear you up, so I kind of have to jiggle peek these guys. Hey, let's go. Wait, mob spawner. It's actually pretty good. And the loot is, you know, I mean, it's exactly what you expect. It's a dungeon, you get dungeon loot. But I will take the food, and I'll take the cocoa beans, because you can't grow cocoa beans, and food restores health, so. Doing my due diligence and mining up this mossy cobblestone, because I'm going to need this for more paths later. Calm little mining trip we got on our hands. We found a dungeon, got some mossy cobblestone, getting some gold now. We have iron too. It's pretty calm. Didn't feel like finding the way out of the cave, so we just mined up, and honestly that works for me. Wanted to try out something different and have a staircase leading up to the library as opposed to making a normal path, because the library is actually on a sort of slant, so I figured maybe it'll work. Well, I tried it out, and I don't know that I'm a big fan of it. I just don't like the general shape of how the staircase turns out, because it just kind of flattens out at some point, and it basically just becomes a glorified path without the depth and different blocks, so yeah, I'm not going to use this. Instead of doing that though, I will just use a normal path like I use throughout the rest of the base, but I did kind of incorporate the smelting building by having the path run through the outside area. I also like the idea of having paths that branch off into multiple different areas of the base, because it connects everything and unifies it under one path, which is just kind of cool to me. With every new set of paths though, there has to be a new set of lampposts, because I do like to keep the base lit up, and also, it's just a nice decoration. Not that this building is super far, but it is the farthest one in comparison to everything else, so I decided to put 4 lampposts. With that building being done though, I think it is finally time that we move the Nether portal from being a temporary setup to having an actual building for itself. Unfortunately, with the start of a new build, that means more bricks. Yay. Ha 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 ha. I was actually fine with the physical location of the portal before, like, where it was at was fine, but the fact that it had no building or nothing surrounding it was the issue for me, so we're just gonna go ahead and build in the same spot. You know, in hindsight, maybe I could have tried to use birch and see how that looked in the corners, but that also doesn't fit with the aesthetic of the rest of the base, so yeah. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I had no idea what to put on the walls, and I was just gonna freeball it with a creeper design, because it's Minecraft, there's a creeper design, there's a wall that's big enough for it.
I think it makes sense. And we didn't exactly nail it the first try either, so... Okay, see, now this is a good creeper face. We fixed the mouth, now everything looks proportionate. I wanted a regal sort of feel in the build, so I decided to use iron blocks on the outside and have a red carpet going down the middle. Thought that looked pretty nice. Also, I really need an excuse to use iron blocks because the texture is different. Unfortunately, here comes my unskippable 2-day cutscene where I just mine for 2 days straight looking for clay. I know I said it before at the start of the playthrough, but boats being faster than walking is such a saving grace when walking is my only form of movement. I guess while we're here trying to kill some time, I will go over the things that I actually do really enjoy about beta. Contrary to what I previously said about, boats and sprinting and, boats being the only movement option, I actually don't mind not being able to sprint. I mean, yeah, it's a little inconvenient at times, but I also never have to worry about a hunger meter, and because of that, I can use food to heal myself, which is kind of a unique take on how food should work. I'm also, surprisingly enough, a really big fan of how armor works, because I actually don't mind it being durability based as opposed to being material based when it comes to protection. It's like all these things in tandem come together to make it to where you can play the game at your own pace. You don't have to worry about, oh, I need food now, I need better protection now, I need better this, that now. It lets you take the game as slow as you want to, and it's really nice. Enough of that though, we're back at the base at the start of day 56. So I think we should be pretty good on bricks for a while because we have almost a full inventory of clay. I mean, there's, everything except for the clay, but that's like a large majority of my inventory being taken up by stacks of clay. Doing some menial tasks in the downtime while I wait for all the clay to smelt. Obligatory sugarcane harvest number 2. With the back wall being smaller, I can't exactly put a creeper face on the back, it just won't fit. Well, maybe it could, but I didn't want to be repetitive. I did also have the idea to make part of the back wall out of glass so that whenever you looked from the outside you could see the purple bit from the portal, and then when you were inside, some of the natural light from the outside also came in. Not too bad if I say so myself, and I also did want to use wool in the corners because 1, it's purple so it matches with the color theme, but 2, I also just wanted an excuse to use wool because it's colorful. On the topic of purple, I did want to make the creeper faces out of obsidian as well. I know that would take a lot of time, and it did, but it would look really cool, and we have time to spare, so I'm gonna do it. I don't know why, but I just forgot that the hunger meter didn't exist, so I made a ton of bread for no reason. Oops, but I always have some now. This is also going to take a bit of time because I don't have a dedicated area where I can just go to mine obsidian, so we're gonna have to find some from scratch. Mining up some coal while I'm at it because the sheer amount of coal we've had to use just to get all the bricks we needed is absolutely insane. Okay, we found a single source block of lava that's falling down. Not exactly what we need, but it's a start. Hey, jackpot. Now here comes the actual long part, which is mining the obsidian. Yep, just sitting here holding left click for an extended duration of time, waiting until the obsidian breaks so I can get the block, you know. Took a little while, but we're out of there, and hey, we got some diamonds for our troubles. Not bad. Not to mention there were also 2 dungeons, count them, 1, 2 dungeons, waiting for us after we got the diamonds. Also a little bit of lapis. Cave's got kind of everything. Dungeons, diamonds, iron, gold, you name it, it's got it. And you know the drill. Second dungeon, I mean, what you see is what you get. Dungeon, loot, moss cobblestone, you know the drill. Only took 60 days, but we finally saw the first slime of the playthrough, and I am gonna be honest, I didn't even think these guys were in the game. I thought it was just the 4 basic mobs. Kicking off day 62 by getting out of the mines. Pretty successful trip if I do say so myself. But I mean, come on, 16 diamonds to our name, a stack of iron, a lot of cobblestone, I mean, we're doing pretty good right now. And I'm making a new set of iron gear because the set we have on now is about to break and I'm taking a lot of damage, so that's a no-go. And finally the main course, which is the obsidian creeper face, and we don't really have enough. Okay, just go cut to the part where I go mine more. I'm grabbing more obsidian than I think I need this time, because I don't want to come back a 3rd time. Alright, we are done with the creeper faces. Now we just gotta put in the glowstone and we will be totally done with them. Seeing as most of the inside is done, aka the walls and the creeper faces, I decided to shift focus to the roof, because that's going to be the next big part that actually takes the most amount of time. I thought one type of block might look pretty repetitive and a little ugly for the roof, so I decided to go with a oak border with a stone interior. Might look pretty good. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but look good it does. At this point I was also still contemplating about having a balcony sort of area,
and I was really honestly teetering more into not having it just because I don't think there's going to be enough space for that, and I didn't really make the build fit for that. Nothing too crazy, but after so long, we finally have the floor actually done because of the sheer amount of iron it took. Putting that balcony idea to the test. We're gonna see if it actually looks good or not. Given the space circumstances when I was trying to build it and how it looks on the outside, we are definitely not making that an actual thing. We're just gonna go ahead and fill in the front of the roof. And while we're on the topic, I'm now moving on to filling in the ceiling. There was no super concrete thought process behind this, but I did know this was supposed to be a super regal looking building, and so I figured why not have some sort of flag looking design on the top. Trying to fill in the middle with some color, and the dimensions of this flag are really screwing me over right now. It's like since the center is 4 blocks wide, I can never have something that is completely even. It's always going to end on a different color than it starts on. In the end, I just decided to go with it being sideways, because although it's not the greatest idea ever, it's also not too displeasing on the eyes. I mean, if it was that big of a deal, then I would have fixed it. Alright, for real this time, the creeper design on the walls, done. Like, they're done. Nothing to add. Nothing to take away, they're done, they're complete. I don't have to talk about this again. Ended off day 67 by filling in some of the gaps that were outside of the portal hall. The land is a bit unruly, it's kind of in an awkward spot, so the land is kind of matching that. Literally a non-issue, but because I improvise a lot of these builds, the lampposts and minor details here and there are bound to get in the way, so I do have to move them from time to time. Speaking of minor details, with a new build, you know what that means. More pathways. So I may or may not have forgotten to light up the inside of my roof, and that almost came back to bite me, but fortunately we stand on business. Taking a gander around the base during the evening, and man, I will never be able to get over these lights. And I know I always bring it up, but they work so well because the lighting is not as strong, the torches aren't as good, so it allows more areas to be dark while giving more value to the individual lights. You know, it might be a hot take, but I never really, actively look forward to having a Minecraft dog. I mean, I like having them, but I don't like having them enough to want to go out of my way to get one. And that's even worse in this version, because I swear the dog AI in this version is so garbage, they will cause more harm to themselves than any mobs will ever do to them in the entire time that they are alive. Anyway, back on topic though, we've had this hole in the ground for quite a while, and I don't intend on filling it in, so if we're not going to fill it in, we might as well make it part of the base in terms of aesthetics. With us now having the giant staircase in the way, I do have to widen out the side so that I can actually walk to the cave portion. And see, this is what I mean. I've had this dog for less than 5 minutes. Not even nighttime yet, it's almost dead. Like, how does that happen? Like, I would also like an excuse to have some sort of minecart system set up, so I need to expand my staircase so I can actually implement that. Okay, good to know. Didn't know you can make chest minecarts in this version, but you can, and I'm pleasantly surprised. Not that I've ever used a chest minecart anyway, because I think that's a lot of setup and a lot of work to make it actually, function to your benefit, but it's a nice idea, and if I have time, then I'll try to make it work. Unfortunately, after I'd already placed all the rails down, I came to the conclusion that minecart rails do not bend whenever you try to have them going a different direction, and there's a block going down at the same time. So, we now have to move all of them over to the completely other side, which is fine, but, it's just like a minor inconvenience. I also probably could have put the powered rails down while I was putting the normal ones down, but I didn't really think about that, so we'll just take it one step at a time. And the whole reason for the powered rails is so that it can be a two-way trip as opposed to just going down and not coming back up, because, I mean, what's the fun if I can't go back up on the minecarts I just made? Really niche thing, but apparently you have to put the redstone torch down after you place the powered rail, otherwise it won't activate it, which is literally a non-issue, but I just thought it was interesting. And there we go. Only took the whole day, but we are finally done with the minecart tracks. I mean, of course you have to ride down the whole thing once you make it. That's like the fun part. It's like having a plate of food and not eating it. Added a wood path at the end because it kind of ties together the staircase and the minecart tracks as being part of the same building. And speaking of paths, I mean, come on. You already know what I'm about to do. I decided to leave the leaves above the entrance to the mines just because it kind of keeps the cozy aesthetic and the leaves actually aren't in the way and it looks like they're being held up by the trees, so they don't look out of place and they still fit the aesthetic, so I see no reason to get rid of them. Now we're kind of in that in-between phase where I don't really know what to build, but I also don't want to just do nothing. Luckily for me though, at the time I was in a Discord call and I was asking for suggestions and someone said to make a giant ball, and unfortunately that doesn't fit the aesthetic I'm going for, so I kind of met him in the middle and made a flower pot instead.
And that's the great thing about Minecraft, is that it's a sandbox game, so I don't have to hold myself to any limitations. I can just kind of build whatever. And look, I know I said I couldn't build a giant ball because that doesn't fit the aesthetic, but that's for base continuity. But this is like a giant object that has no relevance other than to look pretty. Not a bad looking flower pot for the limited block options we have. I mean, if we had stairs, this would look a lot better, but we don't, so yeah. While I was building the rows, I tried to make it 3D at first, but I came to the realization very quickly that I'm not very good at doing that, and it would look a lot better if I just made it 2D. Not to mention, I do not have enough wool to make the whole rows 3D. In fact, I barely had enough wool to get the 2D rows started, and I'm still, by the way, basing the 2D rows off the rose sprite in-game. Well, since you can't farm animals in this version, and I'm kind of grateful that you can, because I really don't like doing that, it's kind of tedious. But since you can't do that, I'm going to have to go out and gamble if I can find the color of sheep that I need. Specifically brown sheep, because we can make red wool, but we can't make brown wool unless we find cocoa beans, and that means we have to go find dungeons, and I'm not going to lie, I would rather test my luck trying to find brown sheep than I would dungeons. And I already mentioned it, but not having to farm is actually really nice, because it saves me a lot of time from just getting down basic necessities that I need. Like, I don't have to worry about food, or sheep, or I literally don't have to worry about anything animal related, because I can just go out and find them naturally, and they spawn more often. Thankfully, it didn't take us too long to find all the wool we needed, and we're back at the base at the start of day 77. Definitely just my own personal opinion, but I do like the fact that there are less colored blocks in the game, so artistic builds like these, where it's just for show, are going to be more simple because there's not as many block options to build with, so there's not as many colors you can use. And there we go, we are done with the flower pot and the rose. The colors are pretty simple, but I honestly don't mind that. It kind of adds to the whole beta 1.7.3 vibe. Insert part where I make a giant pathway here. I did think it would be really cool if the path kind of went around the flower pot in a loop, so it never really had a definitive end. It didn't lead directly to the flower pot, more so just leading around it and looping back to the rest of the base. And there we go, we are done with the path. I probably could have made it bend a little bit more to the center of the loop, but I also didn't start that path with the idea of a loop in mind. That kind of just spontaneously came about, so yeah, I'm not too worried about it, to be honest. What I am worried about, though, is keeping the wooded aesthetic alive, because it's kind of weird having this one area where there's no trees, so yeah, I gotta replant these bad boys. And with all the walking around I've been doing, I can actually put flowers on this pathway, which is really nice. And I have a couple of dandelions, a couple of roses, so there should be a good mix of both. And while I was at it on that single path, I tried to go ahead and add flowers throughout the whole base, because it is really nice just having flowers whenever you walk across a path. Like, it's so whimsical, I can't lie. My only issue I would say that I have with this version is that I feel like if I'm not building, then what am I doing during my downtime? Like, actually. Because right now I'm clearing out land for a new build, which is fine, but like, if I wanted to go explore and look at the world for, I don't know, some other reason, other than to just not build something, then what's the incentive? There is none. There's no generated structures other than dungeons, and if I wanted to do that, then I'd go mining. And there's already a really big incentive to go mining, because you get tools, armor, cool blocks, like just tons of stuff for mining, like super valuable. With all the terraforming we're going to be doing, I finally get to put to use the however many stacks of dirt I have in this chest. I also actually haven't said what I'm building yet, and I do intend on building a tavern. That's what I'm trying to go for. Now, the inside is going to be questionable, but the outside is going to look pretty fine, I think. If you guys have ever played Undertale, then you know about grill bees, and that's the reference image I used when I was making this same build in another server. Except, you know, that server is in 1.26 or something, 26.2, and this is beta 1.7.3, so it's not going to exactly be a one-to-one translation. And let me be frank, I don't usually use reference images when I'm building something. I think that was really obvious already, because I'm not the greatest builder. But I think using a reference image is fine if you do intend on putting your own spin on things with the build that you're referencing. And even then, if you're just copying it one-to-one, I really don't care. I mean, it's Minecraft, build whatever you want. Decided to make a diamond shovel because my current iron shovel has one foot in the grave, and if I'm going to make anything diamond, it's going to be tools. I mean, diamond armor pretty much does the same thing as iron gear, except it probably lasts a little bit longer, I'd imagine. I would hope it does. If it doesn't, that's a scam, but you know. Yes! We get to go find more clay! I love when we have to do this. I have to stress that I really don't mind looking for clay, but I do have to let y'all know that every time we go do this, it gets longer than the last time because we mine more clay, so we have to go farther out to find more. Not to mention, we have to go back like the 500 blocks in distance we just walked, so it's an effective 1,000 blocks we're traveling, just for some clay. Notice how it's been like 3 clips and we're on day 85. It's because most of that is me just walking around looking for clay. I'm not gonna make y'all sit there and watch that. Alright, back at the base. Might be crazy, but I really don't even feel like we got that much clay. Like, I know on the last clay mining trip we went on, there was like a large majority of my inventory just being taken up by clay. I'd like to have a wood border on the floor just because I don't want to make the floor out of the same block, but I don't think there's enough different types of stone or wood in this version to justify having a pattern made out of just stone or just wood, so we're gonna mix it up with some wood. I told y'all, like, there is always something in these furnaces while I'm building. Now that we actually have everything we need, we can actually start implementing the real blocks that we're going to be using, and I decided we're going to use stone slabs for the border. Decided to make more furnaces because the 5 furnaces we have are not cutting it. Like, I need stone faster, so I gotta get these furnaces out. Completely different topic, by the way, but whatever I do, this chest will not face forward. Like, it'll always face to the side, and that's really weird. So if anyone knows what that's about, feel free to let me know in the comments. So as one might imagine, running a lot of furnaces requires a lot of coal, which also means we need to restock our fuel supplies, so we're spending a lot of this day just mining. Luckily, coal isn't really hard to find, especially because I ignored a lot of the patches of it whenever I was mining earlier, so there's just a lot on the surface. After a whole day of mining, 4 stacks of coal is really not bad. I mean, like, we could have more, but we could certainly have less, and that also fills up all of our furnaces in the smelting building. Alright, now that we have all the cobblestone and the furnaces smelting again, we can actually get back to working on the tavern. So even though we spent 4 days getting straight clay, I decided that I wasn't going to use bricks in this build because I don't think we actually had enough to finish the build and do it justice, and also because we are very quickly running out of time, so if we had to get more bricks, then we would be like really pushing it. I do like to lay out certain things with wool though, because it just makes it easier to remember what the vision is. Like, I have wool where the door frame is going to be, and then I have wool where the windows are going to be. It took me an oddly long amount of time to figure out what I was going to do with the floor, but I just had to bite the bullet and use cobblestone because I want some of the furniture to be made out of wood, and if I make the floor with wood planks, then that looks way too repetitive. If I use stone slabs, then I can't make some of the furniture out of stone slabs either, so cobblestone's the only option. I'd like to have slab borders on the top and bottom of the glass portion, but unfortunately in this version you can't put slabs on the top half of a block, only the bottom half, so interesting limitation, but it is what it is. Finished up the door frame, and despite the limitations that were previously mentioned, I actually got an overhanging part that I like. It still has that spherical look, but even so without the quality of life changes that modern Minecraft has. And one of my favorite parts about this build is that it has a flat roof. I don't have to worry about making a good looking roof. I can just turn off my brain and build a flat roof. Also takes way less time whenever you don't have to worry about how it looks, you just kind of make a flat surface and it works. Alright, and the whole outside is officially done, which is really nice. I think it looks pretty good considering the block options we have, but the general shape and look is still what I want. I would have chosen a different color palette if I had options, but I kind of didn't, so gotta make sure to light up the inside. Don't want to deal with mobs spawning in here, especially creepers. And this is exactly why I decided to use cobblestone for the floor, because 1, I don't really want to use cobblestone furniture, and 2, this would look awful on an oak plank floor. Implemented the actual counter and also changed up the table on the right between the 2 seats, and I decided that although the floor does look good by itself, I would like some color in there, so I'm deciding to add a carpet later. First time I'm looking at the achievements menu, and I will say I do think older achievements fit the vibe of the game more, but I think in practice, advancements are probably the better way to go. And with the little time we have left, I decided why not use some of that time to farm achievements. Except for the rail one, I'm not doing that. That one is a waste of time. I've also come to learn that you can't milk the same cow multiple times, which is pretty interesting. I mean, I think it makes sense, but I just figured that wouldn't have been something that existed. Also had to test for good measure, but milk unfortunately does not restore any health, which is totally understandable because I feel like that'd be pretty broken. In case it wasn't clear, I'm trying to make a cake right now, and I honestly didn't think they were a thing in this version, but upon looking at the achievements, I was told otherwise, so as much as I would love to stare at chickens all day and wait for them to drop eggs for me, I feel like that is a pretty big waste of time, and we don't have a lot of that to spare, so I'm just working on the inside of the tavern. Even this late into the game, we're still making new paths. Also thought shelves would be a cool look behind the counter, because I mean, well, I feel like there should be at least something behind the counter, and shelves seem to be a pretty good fit. I mean, pseudo shelves, it's just trapdoors on the wall, but you get the idea. Is a building really decorated if it doesn't have a painting in it? I think not. Making a wooden hoe for the sole purpose of this achievement? No other reason at all. Man, I really want these eggs for the cake achievement, but the chickens aren't laying any eggs. Like, I've gotten eggs just randomly throughout the whole playthrough, and these chickens aren't laying any. Like, I just need them now. Look, after waiting multiple minutes for these chickens to lay an egg and it's not happening, we might have to let this achievement go, I'm gonna be honest. Well, with the last 4 days we have, I can't really just sit here and AFK, so I feel like it's only fitting that we go ahead and find the highest point on this mountain right next to us and try to build a tower that looks over the whole base. Doesn't perfectly get a whole view of the base, but we're at the build limit, so not a whole lot you can do about that. Also not going for anything too crazy here, because we only have 3 days left, so I gotta finish this up pretty fast. I will, however, be making a spiral staircase that goes all the way to the top from the inside, because I'm not putting that on the outside. That's gonna look bad. Of course, we gotta have the pillar that holds it all together in the center. And I definitely made sure to expand the actual area that you can stand on, because it was a little cramped up here before. Gonna be honest here, I didn't really see an actual reason to make any more diamond tools or armor at this point, because, I mean, we got, what, 2 days left to use them, so yeah, might as well make something decorative, so we're going with a diamond block. Don't mind me, just achievement farming real quick, because we still have time to kill. And there we go. Maybe glowstone would work too, right at the top, I mean, kinda like a pseudo lighthouse aesthetic, but come on. I need an excuse to use a diamond block, I got extra diamonds. When am I ever gonna use this again? Alright, making my way over to try to get the When Pigs Fly achievement, and seeing a pig drop off the edge of the cliff is very telling of how this is gonna go. I'm trying to use a fishing rod on this pig. That's probably gonna be the easiest way I can do this, but easiest doesn't necessarily mean good. Yeah, so, it didn't really work out. Alright, second time's the charm, right? Right? That should not have counted, but it does, and I'm not complaining. Not much left for us to do, and I end off day 100 by looking at the sunset, looking over my base, taking in everything we've done over the last 100 days, and we've made a lot of progress, and it's kind of nice that we don't have to worry about the Ender Dragon. We can just take in the view and admire all the hard work we've done. After spending 100 days in beta 1.7.3, I would say my verdict is that I highly recommend this to anyone who wants to try it. If you like classic Minecraft, you should absolutely play beta. If you like modern Minecraft, and not classic for some reason, then I can't guarantee that you'll like this, because this is like classic version 1.0, but even more simple, and yet it's completely different all the same. There's no hunger, armor works differently, and the block palette is significantly smaller than version 1.0, which is kind of crazy to think about because 1.0 doesn't have a crazy block palette either. But it's Minecraft, but it's different enough to where it gives you a unique experience, and I think that was really fun to play with. So, I would highly recommend it. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching and sticking around to the end. I appreciate y'all, and I will catch y'all in the next one.